everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We are so excited to get started. While we are getting settled into our Zoom room today, please go ahead and navigate to the bottom of your Zoom window. You'll see a little chat icon. It looks like a little chat bubble. Go ahead and click that and your chat box will open up. Make sure your to is set to everyone. I ask that because we will be answering your questions during today's webinar. And in an effort to not look like we're talking to ourselves, we'd like you to send your questions to everyone so they know what we're talking about. And as we're getting settled in, I would love to hear what emotional support beverage do you have with you today? For example, I have my gallon of water that I always have with me. I see Melissa has her Stanley. Very nice, very nice.
It's not Stanley, it's Hydro Flask.
Of course, for the record.
Support local.
Right, yes.
I have my water.
Yes.
Nice, good. Does anyone have tea? Ooh, we've got a root beer. Very nice. Coffee, I love it. Tea. Yeah, sometimes you
Lots
get a
of
little kick of
tea.
Lots of
caffeine.
tea.
Ooh,
Ooh,
sparkling
I'm
water.
usually a tea person, so.
Yes. Cranberry tea.
Mm.
Ooh, water in a
Yum.
glass. I love that. Yeah, we kind of have all the representations of H2O.
Ooh, cardamom tea.
Very
Oh,
nice.
interesting.
Ooh, Czech cereal for
Czech
supper. That sounds
cereal.
like me.
Ooh, raspberry lemonade. Oh, that sounds so
Yeah,
refreshing.
Yep.
I love that.
It is still a little bit of summer left.
That's
Gotta get in
right.
the lemonade while you can.
Yep. Quick before we enter pumpkin spice season.
Oh, yeah. Does anyone out there have a pumpkin spice anything right now?
Yeah, looking for
I
tall
bet they
fanatics.
do. Yeah.
I love that. With a free
Love it.
periodic table. Oh, I drink coffee periodically. I love that, Joe.
Yes.
Oh, nice. We've
Oh, the
got a
candle.
pumpkin spice
Okay.
candle.
All right. Set in the mood.
Yep. All right, my friends. Well, to make the most of our time today, please feel free to keep dropping questions, comments, everything in the chat. But I'll go ahead and hop into some housekeeping items. If we could go to the next slide. Beautiful. A recording of today's webinar is going to be live on our website as well as our YouTube channel. It typically takes us about 3 to 5 business days to get that edited and uploaded. As soon as it's live, we're going to shoot you an email and let you know that that's ready for you to watch. We're also going to include a link to our resources folder. I'm going to pop that in the chat as soon as I'm done talking. As I mentioned, we would love to hear from you during today's webinar, so please feel free to use that chat box. Let us know if you have any questions. We'd be happy to answer you. I'll keep an eye on that, as well as one of our fabulous presenters will be keeping an eye on that. If we happen to not get to one of your questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us at support@vernier.com. And with that, I will pass you off to today's presenters. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Melissa Hill. I am the Director of Chemistry here, and I am joined by Fran, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Fran. I'm the Director of Physics.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking today all about Graphical Analysis Pro. So while we're kind of introducing ourselves and warming up, how about throw into the chat maybe what you're hoping to get out of today's webinar, if there's a particular thing you're trying to do or data analysis you're trying to complete, just throw it in there and we'll make sure we get to it because we're here for you. All right, so before we even get into the nitty-gritty of Graphical Analysis Pro, if you're using Graphical Analysis already, which I hope you are, whether you're using the free version or the paid version, we are highly encouraging people to start migrating to the Progressive Web App. And this is especially true if you are using Chromebooks. What's the difference? What did I just say? I spit out a bunch of words. So the native app is the one that you like download. You go to our website, you go to the Chrome Web Store, you go to the Apple Store, and you download onto your device graphical analysis. That is what we sometimes refer to as the native graphical analysis. The progressive web app is actually what we're going to be using today. So we're going to show you how to use it. It's super duper easy. You don't have to download anything. So you no longer have to get your IT people involved. You no longer have to like contact them 3 months ahead of time before class and all that stuff. And we'll show you how easy it is to use, and we'll show you how to connect on it. And we want everyone to start migrating to that, particularly Chromebook users, because Google Chrome has decided to not allow those native or packaged apps anymore. So we want you to see that coming. We don't want you to have to change mid school year. And yeah, that's kind of the special note, the intro. Oh my gosh, we have such good information about what we want to do today. And yes, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I think we'll get to a lot of that. And I see Fran writing other things down, especially
Yeah.
the physics related ones.
I'm actually just writing all of them down, and I'm
Okay,
gonna
good.
see if we can get all of them done.
Yeah, a lot of them we will get done for sure. Some of
Yep.
them we'll just make sure we address. Okay, so moving on. All right, so I did see a couple mentions of Logger Pro in there. If you are currently using Logger Pro, you may have seen or gotten the messages that it's no longer under development and will no longer receive any further updates. This has actually been true for a while. You'll still be able to access it if you're still using it. But we really want you to start moving to the latest and greatest, which is graphical analysis that we're going to talk about today. But if you're using spectrometers, you'll need spectral analysis. If you're using mini GCs or other instruments, you'll need instrumental analysis. And if you're doing video analysis in Logger Pro, you'll need Vernier video analysis. So Logger Pro is being replaced by these suite, or, we've been working on replacing Logger Pro with these suite of apps that are a little bit more tailored and give a more robust experience. Well, so I know a lot of teachers are in the situation where they opened a closet and they found a bunch of stuff. And they started using Logger Pro because that was what the old paperwork said, or that's what they found online. But you can use all of that stuff with graphical analysis as well. So even if you have the cabled sensors with the square little white end, you can use that with graphical analysis. You don't need all new sensors. And today, everything we're doing today, you can do with a cabled sensor or a newer Go Direct sensor. That's the Bluetooth USB sensors. So yes, odds are they will. Dylan put the resources folder in the chat. You have access to this slide deck, and this slide deck has a bunch of links that are super helpful. So definitely check that out, especially this I found equipment link takes you to a really nice page that kind of goes through what did you find and what you need it to make it work with graphical analysis, which is just the same interface you were already using, most likely. All right. Oh, we're getting such good information. All right, I love it. I love it. Okay. Next up, what is the difference between graphical analysis free and graphical analysis pro? So again, there is a link that takes you to a web page that has super detailed, this link right here, super detailed information about every little thing that is different between the free version and the pro version. And then it has links out if you have questions about what does manual linear fit mean? How do I use it? It links you to like those kinds of instructions. So follow that if you want the details. This screenshot here is from our website. So it kind of is like a little brief synopsis, kind of what users are using the most that we hear about. And we're going to highlight some of these today. And why should you buy it? Well, we're going to show you how to use it, and you can decide for yourself if it is necessary for your class or not. All right, so let's try it out. I've been talking too much. So first off, I'm going to show how to access the Progressive web app. So you open a browser, preferably Google Chrome. I know Firefox is also acceptable, but I'm just going to open a browser and I start typing in the window up here, graphical analysis.app. And you can do this with me. We always learn a little bit better when we do it instead of just listening to someone talk about it. And right away, you get this graphical analysis. So if you downloaded the version, or if you're used to the downloaded version, this is the welcome screen that you see when you open the piece of software or the application. So now you just have to open a web browser and type in graphicalanalysis.app.
So there was a question that was, how similar is the progressive web app to the native app or the packaged app? It looks the same. The only difference is when you're connecting to a sensor, it is very slightly different. But other than that, everything's the same.
Yes. And really the biggest difference is how you connect to a sensor, and we're gonna show you that. And it's really only USB sensors.
And can we go back to the passcode?
Yes, yeah. So I was just getting
no, never mind. Dylan just put it in the chat.
Great.
I forgot to copy it down. So thanks,
That's
Dylan.
Right. Yeah, so your screen should look like this if you have not made it pro. And so this was the app. If you want to like join with your phone or iPad separate from like watching this on a computer, you can scan that QR code. But type that passcode is, yeah, sorry, I thought Firefox was supported. Sorry guys. Yeah, just Google Chrome then. Maybe it's Edge. There's another one that we support. I don't know. And type in the passcode right here into this activate additional features with your license key. Type it in and say submit. All right, and now we have Graphical Analysis Pro.
So this was another question, was how do I make sure that I have Pro? And if you look at the bottom of that screen where it says license to, it should say license to and give your school name, and it should say when your subscription ends. And if you don't see that on that opening screen, then you probably don't have Pro, and you have to go to make it Pro. You have to find your code. We can help you if you can't find it. But it is in your account on your website. But you can also go to the three dots in the top right of graphical analysis into the about and type it in there if it hasn't been entered. Like it has here, so you don't see the window that says type it in, but that's where it would be.
All right, so I have a GoDirect pH sensor connected via USB directly to my computer, and I want to do some sensor data collection. And so this is the step that's different. If it's wireless, if you're collecting via Bluetooth, you click on wireless. I'm, like I said, connected to USB. If I had a LabQuest Mini connected, I would click on that, but I have a GoDirect USB. And then I'm going to go up here and say GoDirect sensor, connect. And now it shows that my pH probe is connected. I say done. And now I'm ready to collect data. I am going to do an experiment called household acids and bases, which has me look at the pH of different chemicals in my house. So I need to change the mode from time-based, which is the default with pH, to events with entry. So I clicked on the little mode button in the lower left-hand corner, and that brings up the data collection settings. And I switched to event-based. And this is going to be the name of the household chemical. And I say done. And so far, everything I've done, you could also do in the free version. You can obviously do events with entry. And let me turn up the scaling so you can see a little bit better.
So the question was, how can I see what you're doing on my app? We're going to do the data sharing in just a little bit, so it's coming.
Okay, so, well, yeah. All right, so I'm going to press collect to start data collection, and this is events with entry. So it's waiting for me to press keep. And I'm going to take my pH probe. I have some lemon juice here. I'm gonna swirl it around and wait for my pH value to stabilize. And then I say keep. And so the fact that I'm gonna type in lemon juice, and I'm gonna keep that point. So this is a GA Pro only feature. I am allowed to type in non-numerical data and have what we call categorical data. So I'm going to confirm. And now I have a data point that says lemon juice, and it is pH 2.25, and it's automatically turning it into a bar graph. So that is all GA Pro only. You will not get that in the free version. So now I'm going to do that for a series of chemicals here. The next one I am going to do is going to be soda pop. I have some root beer here. Actually, I know someone was drinking root beer earlier. Oops, I touched the wrong piece. All right, keep. And we're going to type in soda pop. Keep. And it's filling in my bar graph. Next, I'm going to do baking soda. And keep. How are we doing on questions there, Fran? Anything you want to address while I'm just collecting a series of data points here?
So there's a question that someone asked earlier about increasing the size of the sensor real-time readout. And so one of the things you did was you put up the meter so it's larger than the meter that you see in the bottom line of the screen, but we don't have a way to make it any larger than that right now. So if you want it larger than that, definitely send us an email to support@vernier.com and say, hey, I love graphical analysis, but I would like this thing to be visible larger. There's been several questions about using the PWA on iPads and iPhones. The PWA does not work on those, and that's because Chrome on an Apple device is basically a Chrome skin on Safari, and Safari will not work with the connecting to sensors. So on the iPhone and the iPad, you have to download the regular app, Graphical Analysis, from the App Store, and then you can connect to your sensors via Bluetooth. So it only works with your GoDirect sensors if you're going to connect directly to the sensors.
All right, so I have finished my data collection, and now I want to show off a couple more GA Pro features, including error bars. So I am going to click on the ... next to my pH probe and do column options. And there's an option here for show error bars. And I did a bunch of testing on this pH probe earlier with buffers, and I verified that the accuracy of this particular pH probe is 0.15. And so I'm going to show a fixed value. I could also set up a percentage. I could also do a column value, and I really like this for if you're doing like 3 sets of data and you want to know like the deviation of those 3 sets. I use that for that a lot. But fixed value is great if you're just trying to represent the accuracy of your probe that you're using or your equipment. So I'll say apply, and then you can see the error bars are there. And then I need to explain how I got those error bars, right? So another really nice feature in GA Pro is this notes field. So click on this little square of squares up here and enable notes. And it brings up this little notes field. And now I can say, I determined the accuracy of my pH probe to be plus or minus 0.15 using a series of standard buffers, for example. And then I can, just like I can do with the free version, I can go to save and save it like a normal file. Even the progressive web app, it'll look like a normal file that you want to save. And I'll just call this household 2. And then I can open the file and it'll have preserved my notes. It'll have preserved my error bars. But what I can also do in GA Pro that I cannot do in the free version is some of the export features. So the graph is a lot cleaner in GA Pro, and then I can also export as a PDF, which is only a GA Pro feature. And so this is really nice for your students, turning in lab reports and stuff like that. All right, and then the last thing, so any questions about any of that? Anything we want to address before I move on to data sharing? All right, so data sharing, I'm going to show the teacher side because now I'm the teacher. And I want to share that data with all of the students. And I'm going to click on this little tie wing icon and click on Start Session. And so this is the code if you want to join my session. So to join my session, you have to do something different. At the welcome screen, so students or whoever wants to join the data sharing session needs to be at this welcome screen. They need to have GA Pro and they need to click data sharing. And then the default online enter the source ID is the one Dylan just put in there. It's this one. And so now if you put that code into the location that you want to share from, you will get all of my data. And you can also do that at the beginning and the data will come in live. It's just not all that exciting with events with entry. It's pretty exciting with time-based data though, I will say. All right, so that is data sharing. And now I'm going to pass it off to Fran, who is going to show off some additional features.
All righty. So I was just answering some questions in the chat. So Melissa, I'm going to hand that over to you. And I'm going to go ahead and share. Let's see, first I got to get the introduction to GA Pro slideshow up. And where's the share my screen button? Share. All righty. So I'm going to show you a few features using the motion detector. And some of these will some of these will be similar to things that you're asking about in some of your questions. So let me go ahead and move to my other screen. How do I do that? Hold on just a sec.
Yes, I'll just answer some of these questions aloud while you're figuring that out. The
Yeah.
slides are in the resource folder. Dylan, if you could put that resource folder back link in the chat for everyone. So if you already have Graphical Analysis Pro as the downloaded app, that's totally fine. Keep using that. If you are a Chromebook user, though, be aware that that option will go away at the end of the year. And that is not our decision, that is Chrome's decision. Yep, and then Fran is going to talk about draggable manual fit. So with that, I'll let her off.
Yep. Okay, so you see on my screen, I've got my graphical analysis here, and I'm going to go ahead and connect. I think I'm already connected to my motion detector. I'm using a Go Direct Motion. I'm actually using since I'm on a Windows computer, I'm using regular graphical analysis app that I downloaded onto the Windows computer. So you don't have to use the PWA if you're on a Windows computer. It's on Chromebooks that you will have to make the change. So that's something that a couple people were asking about. If you're on a Windows or a Mac or on a tablet or a phone, you do not have to use the PWA, the Progressive Web App. If you're on a Chromebook, if your students are on Chromebooks, starting in January, Chrome is going to force you to move over to the PWA. Google's going to just let you not use downloaded apps anymore. So that's the deal with that. Since they look the same, just don't even try on your other devices. Just use it on Chrome. All right, so I'm going to come over to this camera, and I've got my motion detector set up, and I'm going to do some walking to get a graph. And I know this is a thing that a lot of physics teachers do. The hard part is hitting collect. All righty. All righty, so I got a nice graph there. And on my graph, I got a couple things that I want to do here. I want to do a couple different curve fits. So someone was asking about selecting part of it and doing a curve fit. So I can see how fast I was going with just that section and apply that curve fit. And this is actually movable. I know that when you do the export, it doesn't necessarily look good, but while it's on the screen, it works. And you can do a screenshot. So that's always an option if the export is not working for you. What's nice about this is we have added in the ability to show off the fit parameters. And you can do that just by clicking on this little gear here. So the uncertainty in the slope is plus or minus 0.002, well, 0.003 if I'm rounding, and on the y-intercept, the uncertainty is 0.005. That's actually really nice. I was going at a nice constant velocity right there. And then I had to turn around, and when you turn around, I had to stop going away from the motion detector and start going towards the motion detector. So I must have undergone some sort of acceleration because my velocity was changing. So I can fit a quadratic to just that segment, and for just that segment, I get this fit for the quadratic, and I can also show the uncertainty of those fit parameters as well. So there's some fun stuff. Also, you might notice that at the very beginning of my graph, because I was not holding the whiteboard directly, flat facing the motion detector, I got this weird spike here. I can strike through, and that just disappears from the graph, making the graph look much better. That's another thing that is it's a feature that's come over into Graphical Analysis Pro from Logger Pro. So someone was asking about what features that we have that are coming in from Logger Pro. That's one of them. So lots of good stuff here. And then another thing that I'm going to just real quick show with this part, I can also do, let's see. I can also add a manual fit. And the manual fit is going to give me a line here, and then I can start moving that line around. And this is something down. So I've got a line that I can move around and see if I can get it to sort of fit along this edge here. I'm not doing a very good job with this, but this is important for all of you IB teachers, where I am trying to get, in this case, I'm trying to fit the slope of this line against this part of this parabola, but I could also do it for this part of the graph. It's something where you can say, all right, well, it might be this slope, it might be that slope. This is going to be what that difference is between the two slopes that I might have here, because this kind of matches it, but then this kind of matches it too. So I can get my uncertainty. And that's something that people have been asking us for a long time. So we have implemented that now in Graphical Analysis Pro. Let's see. What were the other things I was doing in this one? I was doing, oh yeah, custom calculated columns. That's pretty awesome. So in custom calculated columns, let me just get rid of all this mess for now. Go into, I can't, there you go. Get my data table up. And something that is nice to do when you're doing motion is getting some kind of energy calculation. So I'm going to go over here. As you can see, the stretch through ones are over here. I'm going to add a custom calculated column to get my kinetic energy. So I'm going to add a calculated column, and I'm going to say KE in joules, and I'm going to insert an expression, and I'm going to use custom expression, which is only something that you can use in Pro. And so I know that for kinetic energy, I want to do 1/2, and I want to multiply that by my mass. We're going to call me 65 kilograms. Oh, I can't put kilograms in there, sorry. Times, and then I need to have my velocity squared. So I'm going to put velocity. Oops, I didn't want to put, forgot. It puts in if you start typing the name of the column, it puts in the quotation marks for you. And then I want to square the velocity. So 1/2 times mass of 65 kilograms times velocity squared, and I'm going to apply. And now I can graph my kinetic energy instead of my position. And now I know where I had more kinetic energy and where I had less kinetic energy. And of course, this is where I had to come to a stop so I could change which direction I was going. So that's where I have just about 0 kinetic energy. So I really like the custom expressions there, because you can really just go ahead and use the numbers and the equations that students are familiar with. The ones that we apply otherwise, such as if you look at the calculated column expressions, you can do an inverse square by choosing this thing and a times x to the b power and making b -2, and you can make the a 1, and then you've got an inverse square. But students have a hard time with that, actually. So the custom expression is often helpful. Alrighty, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over to using oops, let me pull up graphical again. There we are. I'm going to disconnect the motion detector. And I'm going to do a new experiment. And I'm not going to save. And I'm going to move some stuff around over here. So now you should be able to see, yes, I've got a go direct sound and a couple of tuning forks here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect these rather. All right. And I'm going to go ahead. Oh, actually, I want to change stuff here. It helps if you're doing a fast Fourier transform to get a lot of data for this. So I'm actually going to increase the duration from 0.03 up to 0.2, not 2, 0.2 seconds. That's going to give me enough data to get a better FFT. So then I'm going to go ahead and hit my tuning fork on there and collect. That's interesting. It definitely looks like it is not a single frequency. I've got some overtones on there. So this lets me apply an FFT, and ooh, lots of overtones on there. So my peak frequency here, that's going to be in the 288 to 290 bin. And if I look at it, oh my gosh, it was actually 280. Oh, you can't see that. It actually printed on the tuning fork, it's 288. Sorry, I can't focus. Oh, maybe I could focus it in here. Can I focus it in there? No, we cannot focus. You're just gonna have to trust me. It says 288 on it. Yeah. So here I've got that, and then it very nicely lets me take a look at all of my different overtones. It's a little bug here that you get this 0 hertz thing. That's something that we're going to get rid of in a future update. So that's a bug you do not have to report to us because we already know about it. You can go back to the original graph, show the FFT. What are the options for the FFT? I don't know what those are, but go from that to that, and it's super easy. We can also use that to separate two tuning forks. So I'm going to go back. Actually, I'm going to close the FFT entirely. And this time, I'm going to see if I can do both of these at once. This is always tricky. Yes. I love it when that works. So I got some nice beats here, and once again, I can do the FFT on that. And now I've got two peak frequencies that are right next to each other, and then I can go ahead and say, all right, that was at 253, and then the next one is going to be should be about 288. Yep, that's like 290. So there we are. And those are the two frequencies. And then you can actually go in and say, all right, well, what's the beat frequency? I can say, well, I've got, if I start here and go to there, can I just For some reason, it's not letting me select. But anyway, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beats. And if I get the amount of, oh, I probably have to do that. All right. So if I go from here to there, I've got 6 beats, and I can figure out from the statistics what the difference in time is. So the difference in time from the beginning to the end of that is 0.184 seconds. So I can take that 0.184 seconds and the 6 beats and determine what the beat frequency is, and then compare that to the difference. Ooh, I got a question. Can we do derivative graphs or only integrals? You can certainly do derivatives, but once again, you're going to have to do the calculated column. So I'm not going to do a derivative for this because I think that would look crazy, but I will show you that in the insert expression, you can do first derivative, first derivative and second derivatives. So that's pretty awesome. Let's see. There are a bunch of questions that we did not get to. So one question was, can we prevent the axis auto-adjusting after adjusting the edit graph options? If you edit graph options and do manual scaling before you collect data, you should be able to do that. So for example, when you're doing an FFT and you've got 0.2 seconds of data, sometimes you're doing something where the waveform is just going to look like it's all the waves are too close together when you do that. So you might want to display only a little bit of it. And actually, if there's an experiment in physics with Vernier that specifically has you do this, where you go in and before taking any data, you change the x-axis range back to 0.03 for part of the experiment. So even though the whole data collection is 0.2 seconds, you're only displaying a little bit of it, and it will not auto scale, but you have to set that before you collect any data. Right now, you cannot print or export the graph without the formatting changes. So we're working on that. It is a bug. Someone asked for the easiest way to get data from LabQuest into Graphical. And the easiest way is actually to do data sharing. So you choose data sharing, and you might have, I've got a couple of different interesting. I've got a couple of different LabQuests that are available. One of them says bees. I wonder what that does. It looks like it's some ooh, wow. So I'm actually connected to some other LabQuest that's elsewhere in the building, and I suspect it's on our beehive somewhere. We have a couple of beehives. It's really cool. So it's taking some temperatures over hours. This has been going for 140 hours, well, more than 140 hours. And so it's collecting temperature data, and probably one of these is like the outdoor temperature, and then probably one of them is the inside the hive temperature. It might be 2 different places inside the hive. And then this is the amount of force. So like it looks like a bunch of bees left after 100, 90 something hours here. So pretty crazy. So let's see. So someone asked, what if you have no internet? And I don't know that, did we answer that one, Melissa?
No, I started to type it out and then I was like, we should just answer this aloud.
Okay. So yeah, if you're using Chromebooks and have to switch to the Progressive Web app, you do need to sometimes connect to the internet to validate the code. And I think that happens like every 2 weeks. But in between those, you can use it without the internet. So, well, as long as you're not trying to do data sharing, you do need the internet to data share. But for collecting data, you do not need the internet. And then someone had asked if they're the same hiccups as the video analysis tool, and I don't know what those hiccups are that you're talking about. So you could maybe explain that a little bit more in the chat. And then someone had asked, can you make the axes numbers backwards? And I don't know exactly what you mean for that. If you start with 0 on the right and get the numbers more positive and higher as you go left. I don't think that's an option at this time. Melissa, do you know if that's an option?
I don't, but I also didn't fully hear the question because I was answering another question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the question was, can you put the axes numbers backwards? So like putting 0 on the right-hand side and then having the numbers get bigger and more positive as you move towards the left. And I was saying I don't think you can do that.
I haven't tried, actually.
Yeah. So if you can't make that work, that's another thing where send an email to support@vernier.com and say, hey, I love graphical analysis, but I really want this feature. This is the experiment that I'm doing for. This is why it would be awesome. And so that's what you want to do. And the more requests that we get for a feature, the higher in priority that feature goes. I think we're about at time. The only other thing that I wanted to talk about is, let's see. No, that's more GA Pro features. Other features that are in Pro are histograms. Histograms that have really great for using with the radiation monitor for doing counting statistics. So that's only available in Pro. There's better annotations on the graph if you use Pro. You can select a portion of the graph and then put in I'm going to stop sharing. So if you select a portion of the graph and do an annotation, it'll actually point and it'll bold that part of the graph, and then you can annotate that part, as opposed to if you don't have Pro, when you do an annotation, you just wind up with a box in the middle of the screen and you can move it around a little, but it doesn't look great. And then who really needs to get the Pro version? If you're teaching IB science, IB teachers need this for doing that manual curve fit. If you're doing the FFTs because you're doing physics and sound as part of your curriculum, then you need Pro. If you're teaching a college course, you probably want to use Pro. If you want to do data sharing because you're doing hybrid, or you've got some remote learners, or you've got someone on homebound, you need to have Pro. Oh, interesting that Sheena says that video analysis has some issues on Windows with opening and saving files. If you can capture that information and send that to us at support@vernier.com, we can investigate that. All right. So
lots of good questions.
Yeah, I think that's it. But oh, okay. Can you please mention who to call if you have a specific detailed questions? You just call our toll-free number, 888-837-6437, and just say you have a specific question about whatever it is, whether it's a sensor or whether it's the graphical analysis program or something else, and our receptionist will direct you to an appropriate person to answer.
Oh, yeah, that's a good. Yeah, there's a lot of tricks. There's a good till about adding videos and syncing the data. And of course, I just closed one of the tills.
Yeah, a till is part of our technology
FAQs.
information library.
Yeah,
So
that's what I've been linking in a lot of the chat. So let me.
all the little articles.
Yeah. Let me find that one. You can also search for it on our website. But doing a whole webinar on it, that's a great suggestion, and we will take that back to the team.
Yep. Thank you
Any,
all so much for attending. And if we did not
yeah.
answer your questions, then definitely email us or get on the chat on our website or call us. We'd love to help.
Okay. Here is the one for video data sync. It's got a video in it and everything.
Oh, Trina, thanks for the compliment.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Please reach out with any other questions, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye, y'all.